What goes on in your brain when you get a wire for $50,000?
I'll tell you what, man. I've done a lot of deals over the 6 years. I still get fired up like I'm a little kid on Christmas. Like
It's the best.
Even if it's a small deal, it's the best.
It's
and then
the best.
now I get to pay my team, and like just being able to see my team make money, like it's unbelievable. I get, and I'm like, I do these Vox, I'm like yelling up and down, like, yeah, we got it done. I got the wire. Everyone's, and I'm on Chase, sending out all the wires to my team and stuff. Man, it's like the best thing ever.
Welcome to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. I'm your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People, and I have an incredible 26-year-old wholesaler out of San Diego here. He started his real estate journey 6 years ago by sitting in a flipping seminar when he was 20 years old in college. And now he is close to, he's really, really pushing to make $1 million in wholesaling income this year and real estate income this year. It is my pleasure to bring Greg Helbeck to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast. Greg, how are you, buddy?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to be a guest on your show. It's unbelievable what you guys have built here. So thank you so much.
Well, it's unbelievable what you have built over the last 6 years. You really started down this path as a young man, something inside your brain, like all of us, was excited about real estate. But before we get into, kind of any of that, talk to me about what's going on with your business right now. If you were to, like, I want to just throw you right into the fire here and be like, okay, you're sitting across somebody that's never done a real estate deal before. What advice would you give them right now in this current market?
Yeah, for sure. So if you're starting right now, it's 2020, end of 2022, going into 2023 next in 2 quarters from now. So if you're starting now, there's 2 things you really got to get good at. Number 1 is, as you say, you got to squad up with other people who are more successful than you. If you're brand new, your best bet is to align with investors who are making money, and you got to bring value to them. The best way to bring value to them is simple. That's how new wholesalers bring value to me. They market, they prospect, and they bring deals. So number 1, align with investors who are making money, who are where you want to be. And number 2, you got to master your first lead gen strategy. Like, you can't master them all in 1 hour or 1 day or even 1 month. You got to nail and scale your first marketing strategy so you can consistently get that traffic coming in the door, if I had to give them honest advice.
Yeah, you got to focus. And what's really important there is you said to squad up with somebody that has some experience. For somebody, yes. and this is kind of my experience when I was going through this and starting out. I would go to the meetups, I would go to real estate investing associations or RIAs, and I would kind of be a wallflower. Like, I didn't really know who I was supposed to talk to. I didn't really understand who was doing deals and who wasn't doing deals. Like, what's the best way to find people? Is it going on social media? Is it going and meeting people face to face? Is it going into live shows that people do on YouTube and getting into the comments and communicating with people there? What do you think is the most effective way? What would you do right now if you had no connections, you had no network, and you were trying to find somebody that was legit that could help you understand, is this a deal or not a deal, when you came across an opportunity?
Yeah. I'll tell you what I did 6 years ago that still works. So you go online in your local market and you type in "sell my house fast," right? And you know what's going to come up? Investors who are buying traffic and investors who have good SEO. So I did this, Brent. This is how I really got my first mentor.
I love it.
Typed in "sell my house fast." I lived in Monroe at the time, which is right near New York City. Guys, good friend of mine to this day, website comes up, We Buy Houses Monroe, New York. And I called him, didn't know him from Adam. I said, "Hi, I'm just getting started. You probably get a lot of these calls. I'd love to connect and find a way to add value to you." We ended up meeting for coffee, and I ended up working for him for 3 or 4 months and was his lead manager. So I learned the business. And then he saw over time that I was serious about this, and then we started to do deals together, right? Did the same thing with another investor who's still we're actually doing a deal today. We're still doing deals today from 6 years ago, right? Just by building that relationship, right? We had a wholesale deal down in the city, near New York City. So you got to reach out if you want to get the low-hanging fruit. Just go online. Everyone might not take your call. I still take those calls. People hit me up all the time, and I'm like, yeah, let's connect. Because you never know, how you never know, especially too. I'm kind of rambling here, but if you reach out and you're brand new and someone brushes you off, number one, you got to persist.
Yep.
And number two, just because they might not be able to help you right now does not mean that them or someone else can help you later, whether it's a private lender or maybe their cousin's rich, whatever the case is. But never just brush people off, because you never know how you can help them and how they can help you. So you got to always have that kind of mindset when you're doing that.
So what was your mind like? What was going through your mind as you're reaching out, you're Googling these people that obviously are, a lot of steps ahead of you, a lot of experience. How do you go in that and actually have a good conversation and get their attention so that they're actually willing to work with you and be patient with you and bring you kind of under their wing?
Yeah. So I started with the first guy. I said, what can I do to help you? What is a pain point that you have that I can solve? And at the time, it was I really don't like answering the phone. I love getting all these online leads when they're smoking hot motivated, but I hate calling them back. So would you want to help me call these leads back? Because he was a one-man show at the time. And I said, absolutely. I don't get that many leads right now, so I'd be happy to help your leads out. So I asked him an open-ended question. What can I do to be of service? Not, hey, can I pick your brain? It's like, no one wants that. It's, what can I do to add value? What could I do to be of service? The second investor, I said, hey, I got a deal. Do you want to come look at it? I want to wholesale it to you. So right off the bat, I'm bringing him something that is potentially valuable. So we ended up meeting at a property, this complete dump up in Otisville, New York, where it's like hillbilly land. And this mentor was like, oh, this guy's like 20 years old. He's bringing me these deals. And he's literally one of my best friends to this day, because we started, and he was kind of just getting into the business because he had this other big company that he sold or whatever.
Yeah.
But you got to just bring value in advance, whether you can help them in their business or you can just bring them deals to the table. And that really gets people's attention, because most people are like, hey, can I pick your brain? Like, maybe, but if you actually offer a deal, especially, or what's something in your business right now that I can help with, it's going to get that mentor's attention. They're like, oh, well, that's a good question. I'm really running into this, and that. Can you help with that? Yeah, I think I might be able to help you there. And then all of a sudden, you can take that conversation to another step and, go from there.
I love the strategy, and it's worked 100 out of 100 times for me in different situations, in different business situations, but definitely in this business. And I think this is why I was kind of nervous going to meetups and networks and these type of things, because I didn't feel like I had any, like I was just trying to take, and I was trying to get people's time and attention. And then I found exactly what you said: bring something to the table. And I remember going out and I would door knock and I would find these opportunities. I would find these leads. And this is 2013. And I would write down the address and the owner's name and their information after having a good conversation with them. And I had no idea really what an investor would pay for it. And so I would go and just reach out to all the different people. I would ask, because I was a real estate agent, I would ask people, who are your cash buyers? Who are your people doing flips? Who are the people, investors that you know? And they'd give me their information. I call them and say, hey, listen, I need some help. I think I have a deal here. I'd love to work with you on it, but I don't know if I have a deal here. So can you take a look and you tell me what I've done wrong or right, and see if we can, make something happen here. And it worked every time, Greg. Every single time it would work. And that's how I built, my first 5 really, really, really strong buyers. And then that turned into 10, into 100, into 500, into 5,000 now in our cash buyer database. And it's because we started out with providing value. So I think, what I'm hearing is in the thread of your story is, go out there, be proactive first, and then start reaching out to these people, and you're going to feel a lot more confident.
100%. I'll give you a quick example, Brent. This happened like 3 weeks ago. So a brand new investor saw one of my videos online. So I was some interview I did. Reached out to me because he saw, because a lot of like us New Yorkers, it's like a different clan because it's so hard in that market with the attorneys. So he reaches out to me and he's like, hey, I want to JV some deals with you. I have a bunch of leads. Long story short, like a month later, he brings me this smoking hot deal in Nyack, which is a really expensive area on the water. And he's like, I want to JV this thing with you. And I was actually back in town. So I met him in the flesh like 2 weeks ago. We went to the property together, which I normally don't do anymore. And we built a relationship. I ended up, he got it for 155, so I didn't even have to talk to the seller. He got it for 155. I found a buyer for 190, We're in contract. Hopefully that closes in 3 to 4 weeks. But he knew that if he can do some, legwork with the lead, he knew if he came to me, I was gonna be able to dispo that thing for a good profit. So like he saw that, I was obviously able to help him, and then I took the way that he kind of came off to me was very like, I want to be of service, I want to be helpful. And like for me, I was like, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like I'll help you either way, because he was just being cool about it. It's all about just how you communicate, how you approach it, leading with value in advance, and you'll be surprised on how open people are to having a conversation with you.
Love it. So how would you go out and find your first leads?
If I was brand new or now?
Yeah, you're talking to your 20-year-old self that's sitting in that seminar, and you're standing on stage, and you're like, this is what you need to go do. Like, not education, not this is what wholesaling is, and not definitions, this is what escrow, and this is what earnest money is, and this is a title. No. What would you do? What would you tell your 20-year-old self that's like, go do this as soon as you leave here, and that's going to start you down the right path of finding unbelievable opportunities?
Yeah. All right. So, and this is like what I know now talking to my 20-year-old self.
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, PropStream hopefully exists. I would go on PropStream, right? And that software is unbelievable. I mean, there's tons of software out there. They're all pretty good. PropStream is just very user-friendly. I would go on to PropStream, and in PropStream, you can basically take a very broad list, and you can whittle it down to a very targeted list. So first thing I would do is I'd pick the county that I'd want to do it in. So whether it's Maricopa County or Orange County, New York, or whatever, pick the county, and then I would start to filter that big list into a reasonably small niche list, maybe like 500-ish or so prospects. And I would go from, all the people to the absentee owners. I'd remove the corporates. Then I would remove the owner occupants. So now you have absentee owners, and then I would filter length. This is like for all of our prospecting, like length of ownership, 15 years or greater. So I would change the length of ownership, and then I would then hit the vacant box, and I would find all the vacant properties that have been owned for 15 years. So the reason I'm saying that is because vacant is generally like 40% of the time it's actually vacant. 60% of the time they're living there still. So you got no one potentially living there. You got 15 plus years of ownership. That does two good things, Brent. That tells you that there's most likely a lot of equity. And the second thing it does is it probably is telling you that there's some deferred maintenance. And then the last thing is the absentee owner component. See, a lot of people think that just absentee owners are all these landlords. And like we do deals every month from absentee owners, and half of them are like inherited houses where they were either vacant or they're renting it to a family member, or their old grandma lives there. But it just means that the mailing address and their actual property address are different. So I would probably get a niche list of that. That's the first thing I would do. And I would do the Brent Daniels special and pick up the darn phone and start calling people. If they don't answer, text them, and get yourself in a regular, I would time block probably 2 hours a day to start for the first 2 weeks of prospecting. I would look for what those activities are bringing you in terms of leads. And then if you're getting a lot of leads from 2 hours a day, I would amp it up to 3 hours a day and see if you're going to get an additional, set of leads. And I would start doing that, and I would be doing that every single day for at least 90 days. I'd be tracking my results, and I'd basically be saying, how do I generate 2 or 3 leads today so I can then make 2 or 3 offers? And if I tell new people this all the time, and they look at me like I have 3 heads, because it's really that simple.
Yep.
If you're getting 2 to 3 offers, if you're getting 2 to 3 leads every day, and you're making 2 to 3 offers, you're going to get people to say yes. It will happen. It's like math. And if you get 2 to 3 offers out a day and you track this, and you can just do this on a Google Sheet, you're going to do deals. You're going to get contracts. People are going to sell you their house. And then you take that contract and you go out and you either partner with somebody or you try to sell it yourself. But you need to master the basics. I'm going to add one more bonus in here, right? Because this is like something that we've discovered now. Oh my God, it works like gold. So I don't know what county you're in listening to the show, but at least in my area and in most big counties, you can pretty much go into the county clerk's office and you can find all of the hairy deals you'd ever want to find, because every hairy deal, whether it's a code violation or a pre-foreclosure or
tax
a lien,
default.
Tax default. It's all recorded with the county. So I actually have 2 VAs who are on my team now, and one of the VAs goes in every single day in the database in my county, and they yank all the list pendants, which just means pre-foreclosure, out. And they take that information straight from the county. This is not from a software. This is straight up from the county because it's fresh. And they take that information and then they put it into our system. And then I have a cold caller who will reach out and prospect that person. And, we're getting fresh leads in live time, and that's free. Well, I have to pay the VAs, but like the actual activity itself is free. So I would do those two things, and I would try to get yourself into the first. Like I would probably say if you do those activities for 90 to 120 days and you're consistent and persistent, it would be very hard to not do a deal. Very hard to not do a deal. If you're consistent and persistent every single day.
The stats are every 200 conversations you have with a distressed property owner will lead to a signed agreement, to a closed deal.
Oh, yeah.
Not even signed agreement, but to a closed deal. And the important thing there is a distressed property owner. We know statistics show us nationwide 6 to 10% of the market is in distress at all times, and we're creeping closer to the 10 than we are to the 6 right now. And what Greg was mentioning here, which I think is absolutely incredible, is vacant properties. The fact is, you can Google this. Anybody can Google this right now if you want to fact check this. You can go on and find out that there is, if you were to search vacant properties that have been vacant for over a year that are single family, right? Regular houses, single family houses that have been vacant for over a year, it will show you that there are 11 million. Let me say that again. 11 million vacant properties. So when Greg's saying go after these properties that, are obviously not getting any utility out of them because nobody's living in them, there's less emotions with these properties.
Yes.
And when there's less emotions, people want to get rid of them quicker, right? They don't want to cling on to it. They just want to just get rid of this property. I don't want it any longer. And they will trade price for speed and convenience. And that's what we look for. Every single seller that we talk to, there's price, speed, and convenience, and sellers can only get 2 of them. And if they want speed and convenience, that's where we get our best deals. That's why Greg's made over $600,000 this year, and he's on his way to $1 million by the end of the year. But
we're gonna keep cranking.
That's
so
it.
Proud of my freaking team,
That's
man.
it.
But
So
another thing you said it is. That's another thing I see new investors is if you can go after the non-owner occupied properties, because in our business, like we have a huge pipeline, and a lot of the deals that are stuck are because the seller's living there. They haven't found a place to go.
Yep.
What am I going to do? It's like, well, go after the vacant one or the one where the tenant can leave in 45 days, and you'll have a faster sales cycle.
That's right. That's right. I mean, listen, the fastest deals are going to be vacant properties, without a doubt. I mean, without a doubt. And usually by the time they're vacant or have been vacant, the owner is so tired of these properties. Everybody thinks that the gold is in like pre-foreclosures. But the fact is, I mean, you could Google this too, but 90% of people that are behind on their mortgage payments do a loan modification. Yes. They do. So you're really only looking at 10%. It's not this huge amount. What we really should be looking at are the vacant, ugly houses out there. That's where the gold is. And it's in every single area of every single city, in every single state, across the country. And that's the beautiful thing about our business is we get the opportunity to go. We have the tools now to go out there and have these quality conversations with these property owners and see if they're ready to sell. And that's our job. Are they ready to speak? Are they ready to take this smoking hot price for us to trade for speed and convenience and getting rid of this property that's just sitting there vacant? So,
Brent, let me give you one more quick example. And this is one in San Diego, because everyone's always like, oh, Southern California. And listen, San Diego is not easy. But anyway, long story short, I'll never forget this. So National City, California, not the best area in town, but certainly you can do deals there, which is like south of San Diego, not too far from Mexico. Before I hired my assistant, this had to be 2 years ago now, I found this complete beater down in National City, and I was with my buddy. We were like doing something. I said, let's just drive by this thing real quick. We drive by this thing, complete shack, and I'm like, wow. I personally want to find the owner of this property. I get the owner on the phone. She's like, I don't want to sell right now. And I'm like, okay, no worries. Put her in a follow-up campaign. I end up hiring my assistant like a year later, and I tasked her with following up with prospects. So this lady was ice cold when I last spoke to her. My assistant follows up with her like her second week of work and goes, Greg, I got this property in National City. She's unbelievably motivated. And I get on the phone with her, and like she was going through a divorce, and smoking hot motivated. This property had a ton of equity, it was free and clear, and her situation changed, and the property was vacant the entire time. So the point of that story, and it ended up being like a 55K assignment. So the point of that story is that just because they say no right now, does not mean in 6 months they're still going to say no. Heck, if it's still vacant, they're still paying taxes. They're still paying the utilities, maybe. So like you have to follow up, and you have to do it in a way where you're not annoying the prospect, but you're letting them know that you're there. And whenever their timing changes, she may have not been going through a divorce when I first spoke to her, but when my assistant spoke to her, she's going through a divorce. She's got this property. It's getting broken into. There's homeless people living in there. So, like, you got to follow up with people or have your team follow up because that's where the real money is. If we didn't do that, we would have lost 55 grand. Someone else would have had it. So.
Yeah, the average, when we look at our lead follow-up campaigns, the average is 10 contacts. 10 actual contacts that either is a response from a text message or a conversation before we get a deal locked up. So it is first you have to, it's like a big filter, exactly like you were saying, Greg. At the top of the filter is like every property, right? Every property in our market, every property in our state or city or wherever you're going, wherever you're targeting. And then you slice that down to the 6 to 10% that are in distress. And then you slice it down to the people that you've actually had a conversation with. And then you slice it even further down to the people that are considering selling and they would consider an offer from you. And that's where you focus your efforts. That's where that's where the pros really shine. That's like the secret sauce. The secret sauce is making sure once you've done all of that work, all of that hunting, you do the gathering part of this, which is the lead follow-up and really working with the people that you're having a really good relationship with, good connection with, and you're able to actually provide value to them. Everybody else, no. But that small amount, and I'm telling you, you do 30 deals a year, it changes your life. You do 3 deals a year, and it changes your life. You do 10, 30, 50, 100, and I'm telling you, it's just wild how much income that you can bring in, and it's absolutely exciting. It's all right out there. There's way more deals than there are investors out there. So, Greg, let's break down a deal. I want to break down a deal, maybe one that you're working on, maybe one that was really difficult, maybe one that's just your favorite one, but something I want to know how you found it. I want to know what their distress was. I want to know how you got it closed. And lastly, don't tell us the amount that you made until the end. We're going to ring this victory bell, but break down a deal for us.
I love it. All right. So do you want to fix and flip a wholesale? Like what type of deal are we talking? We want just a straight assignment.
Yep.
All right. So here's one. This is a great. This will drive the point that we just made home. Right. This is a great story. 83 Marple Road Extension, Poughkeepsie, New York. 12102. I forget the damn zip code. But anyway, 83 Marple Road. This seller. I still can't believe this thing ended up happening. This seller called me when I was a one-man show back in 2017, and the owner was like, it was like a trust kind of thing. It was like a trust. And the whole house was like just destroyed. So this basically a corporation on the part. It was like a corporation trust thing. It was like some research fund or whatever. And the president of the trust, this is a ridiculous story, by the way. So the president of the trust was like, I want to sell this property. And I was like, all right. Made him an offer. He's like, no way. That's way too low. And I'm like, all right, no worries. I knew the house was shot. So we just followed up with this guy. He was in the follow-up bucket for literally, this was in 2017, 18, 19, 20. 5 years later, I'm not kidding. 5 years later, this was last year, the guy dies because it was owned in like a corporation thing. So then the new, appointed representative got a letter from us in the mail. Oh no, we got a letter. Because I had the other guy's phone number and that guy was dead. So then the guy calls us up. What's up?
No, I'm listening.
So that guy calls us up. His name is Peter Nathaniel. I guess I said it on the record, but he calls up and speaks to Brett, who does the acquisitions. And I'm like, oh, I know this property. Like this is like, I think every investor and their mother's been trying to buy this thing. So long story short, there was like all these title issues on the property. We ended up getting it under contract, and it was a $50,000 wholesale deal. But this is where the rub was. So I said the profit. I said it. Oops. Well, we'll cut it out or something. But anyway, got it under contract, and we had a buyer lined up. And the buyer was a repeat buyer that we've worked with in the past, right? So he knew exactly what the construction was going to be. but the town ended up putting like a notice to demolish lien against the property because it was in such poor condition.
Yeah.
So we actually had to go to virtual court. And the buyer, myself, I made an appearance on Zoom. The seller was there. There was the town attorney. It was this whole mess. And this was in like February or March of this year because it was in contract forever. We had to get the town to basically remove the violation if the buyer did the work. And I was wholesaling this thing the whole time, right? So we ended up getting the whole thing worked out. It was a great property. I learned a lot on that thing. And the main lesson that I got from that deal was following up. If I would have just dropped off of that deal and let it run, someone else would have made the profit. So it was a real bear.
Vacant rundown house. How did they call you initially? Did you initially get them with a letter, or they called you
Direct
off of
mail.
a letter after?
Direct mail. The first trustee called my letter, so I had his phone number.
What kind of letter do you send, Greg?
That one, I mean, this was a long time ago, but back in the day, I was sending a lot of just like professional letters. Like, hi, my name's Greg. You know, I own a local company. I want to buy your house. If you're interested in selling, call me. Now I send postcards because I'm just like, you know what? I can send more of those things out, and if someone wants to sell, they'll call a postcard or a letter. It from my stats and tracking, it doesn't, in my market, make a big difference. Like, we get the similar responses, and I can get double or triple the amount of units out with postcards. So I figured I'm just increasing my odds if I send postcards instead of letters.
Yeah.
That's
Got it. So just a regular letter. They called you. It's a vacant, rundown property. It's about to be demolished, right? What did you lock it up for?
75.
What'd you sell it for?
125.
And netted?
50.
50,000. Come on, Greg.
Yeah, it was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And listen, what goes on in your brain when you get a wire for $50,000? Do you check your phone? Or are you like, when is it going to hit? Do you pick up a check? Do you go, you know what I mean?
It's all wire. I never went to the house. I've never went to that property. I don't go to closings. Like in New York, everything is done with attorneys. So what I don't normally do, like we have a closing, 2 closings tomorrow. I just wait for the attorney, or if it's in another state, I just wait for the title company or the escrow in California to initiate wire, like instructions. I send them all that stuff. They call to confirm, and then I wait for that wire to come through. But I'll tell you what, man, I've done a lot of deals over the 6 years. I still get fired up like I'm a little kid on Christmas. Like even
the best.
Even if it's a small deal, it's the best. And then I get to pay my team, and like just being able to see my team make money, like it's unbelievable. I get, and I'm like, I do these Vox, I'm like yelling up and down, like, yeah, we got it done. I got the wire. Everyone's, and I'm on Chase, sending out all the wires to my team and stuff. Man, it's like the best thing ever. And then it just, the more marketing you do and the more conversations you have, the more of those wires you're going to get. Or if you want to go to the closing, if you're crazy to do that, you can go pick the check up. But I like to just have it come to me.
Just wire it. Yeah.
Just wire it, man. I don't need to go.
It's faster. It saves you a step. That is awesome. Greg, unbelievable. Tell people how they can find you. Tell people what you're up to. Tell people how they can connect with you. Because I'm sure a lot of people are going to love your energy. They're going to be in, maybe they're in Hudson Valley. Maybe they're in San Diego. Maybe they want to squat up, meet with you. I know that you live in San Diego, but you grew up in Hudson Valley and you do business in both places.
I still go back there all the time.
Yeah, great. How do people connect with you?
So they can follow me online, Grego_37 on Instagram. We put out a lot of content on Instagram for sure, and then
we'll make sure to tag that in the show notes for sure.
Yeah, Instagram, or I got a podcast, Pave the Way podcast, if they want to listen to that, or they can just email me, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com. I'll get back to everyone if they email me. Like I check my email pretty consistently, so whatever they want to do, social media, email, I'm here to help and I'm here to add value. So it was really fun being on your show, man. We know
that. From a psychological standpoint, positive affirmations affect our subconscious mind. And our subconscious mind affects what we do, the actions that we take consciously. So what do you do to keep such a positive and enthusiastic affirmations in your brain and subconscious mind? What do you do? What do you put in your brain, brother?
So I love reading, right? So I read a lot. I put a book review of the week. I've been doing that for like 4 years now, every single Saturday. My assistant posts it now, so I don't have to post it. But every single Saturday, I'm reviewing a book that I read, and I'm doing that consistently. So I'm constantly feeding my mind with physical books. I'm listening to podcasts. And the most important thing that I've found to be the most powerful, Brent, it's so simple. I just try to stay grateful for everything every single day, no matter what. It's just being grateful. Like I write down every single morning, what are 3 things I'm grateful for? If we're getting kicked in the face on a deal, how do I reframe this, right? I could be in a country with no running water right now, right? I live, in America. Yeah, we might not be having a great business day, but you got to reframe your perspective, right? Like, you got to be grateful for what you have and who you got around, in your family and friends.
Yep.
And when you have that mindset of gratitude, I read like this stat where like it's impossible to be like grateful and fearful at the same time. It's like something like that where like if you're always grateful, it's impossible to be fearful, right? So having a mindset of gratitude and then abundance too. Like you said something really smart earlier in the show. It's like if you really think about how many people live in Maricopa County or in the New York City area or in San Diego, like I know like 10 flippers in San Diego who all do 10 deals a month and they're doing tons of deals, right? So it's like there's so many deals out there, and if you're consistent and persistent and you do the simple stuff every day, it's very hard to lose. It's almost impossible to. I mean, you just can't because the math is on your side if you're making the offers and talking to the people.
Love it. Yep. They say gratitude destroys fear and anxiety, and I 100% agree. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Greg did mention a tool, PropStream. It's a phenomenal tool. You can find that at ttpdata.com, ttpdata.com, like talk to people data.com. It's phenomenal. Check that out. And if you're interested in joining the most proactive group in real estate investing, it is the TTP program. Go to wholesalinginc.com/TTP. That's wholesalinginc.com/TTP. Check out what it's all about. Check out all the incredible people that I've had the fortune to work with and that have gone through it, and all their testimonials. And if it feels good in your gut, sign up for a call. And that is it. I am so happy that Greg was able to come on here. And if you listen to what he was saying and go out there and be proactive, you 100% are going to be successful. And I sign off on this podcast, as I always do, encouraging everybody to go out there and talk to people. Till next time. Love you guys. See ya.